Question 1. A municipal advisor, MA, is engaged by an issuer to advise on a new bond issuance. Which of the following statements regarding the MA's fiduciary duty to the issuer is most accurate? A. The fiduciary duty applies only to the specific transaction for which the MA is compensated. B. The fiduciary duty applies to all aspects of the municipal entity's financial affairs, even beyond the engagement. C. The fiduciary duty requires the MA to prioritize the issuer's interests above all others, without exception. D. The fiduciary duty is owed to the ultimate bondholders, as they are the purchasers of the securities. Answer: C. The fiduciary duty requires the MA to prioritize the issuer's interests above all others, without exception. MSRB Rule G-42 establishes that a municipal advisor owes a fiduciary duty to its municipal entity clients, which means the MA must act in the best interests of the client without exception. This duty requires prioritizing the issuer's interests over the MA's own or any other party's interests, encompassing the specific scope of the advisory engagement. For example, if an MA has a conflict of interest, they must take steps to mitigate or eliminate it and fully disclose it to uphold this duty. Always remember that the fiduciary duty is a cornerstone of the municipal advisor's role, emphasizing trust and undivided loyalty to the client. Question 2. Under MSRB Rule G-42, gifts, which of the following is permissible for a municipal advisor firm to provide to an employee of a municipal entity with whom the firm conducts business? A. An extravagant weekend getaway valued at $500, paid for by the firm. B. A $100 gift certificate to a high-end restaurant as a holiday bonus. C. A $75 gift of appreciation, such as a bottle of wine, given at year-end. D. An occasional de minimis business meal or promotional item, such as a pen. Answer: D. An occasional de minimis business meal or promotional item, such as a pen. MSRB Rule G-20 prohibits municipal advisor firms and their professionals from giving gifts of more than $100 per year to employees of entities with whom the firm does business. The rule specifically permits occasional business meals, entertainment, or promotional items of de minimis value that are not in excess of $100 per person per year. For instance, a firm can provide a client with a branded notebook or a casual lunch without violating the rule, as long as the value is nominal and not extravagant. This rule helps prevent actual or perceived conflicts of interest that could arise from offering substantial gifts to influence business decisions. Question 3. An individual is hired by a municipal advisor firm to manage the firm's compliance with MSRB rules, including drafting written supervisory procedures and overseeing disclosures. This individual does not engage in municipal advisory activities or solicit municipal entities. Which MSRB qualification examination is this individual most likely required to pass? A. Series 50. B. Series 53. C. Series 54. D. Series 79. Answer: C. Series 54. The MSRB Series 54, Municipal Advisor Principal Qualification Examination, is required for individuals who act as municipal advisor principals, responsible for supervising the municipal advisory activities of a firm. While the Series 50 qualifies an individual to act as a municipal advisor representative, the Series 54 specifically covers the supervisory and compliance aspects. For example, drafting supervisory procedures and overseeing disclosures are principal-level responsibilities, even if the individual doesn't directly advise clients. Therefore, the Series 54 is the appropriate qualification for supervisory roles within a municipal advisor firm. Question 4. A municipal advisor firm receives an unsolicited request from a municipal entity to provide certain financial advice regarding the potential issuance of general obligation bonds. Under MSRB Rule G-42, what is the firm's primary obligation regarding the scope of its services? A. The firm must decline the engagement if it determines the entity already has an adequate financial staff. B. The firm must enter into a written agreement with the municipal entity prior to or upon the engagement, clearly defining the scope of services. C. The firm is only required to make oral disclosures about its services since the request was unsolicited. D. The firm must conduct a comprehensive review of all of the municipal entity's outstanding debt before proceeding. Answer. B. The firm must enter into a written agreement with the municipal entity prior to or upon the engagement, clearly defining the scope of services. MSRB Rule G-42 mandates that a municipal advisor must enter into a written agreement with a municipal entity client, clearly detailing the scope of the advisory services to be provided. This agreement must be in place prior to or upon the commencement of the advisory relationship, regardless of whether the request was solicited or unsolicited. For instance, this written contract might specify that the MA will assist with bond structuring but not with bond sale execution. This requirement ensures both parties understand the boundaries and expectations of the engagement, protecting both the client and the advisor. Question 5. Which of the following entities is not generally considered a municipal entity under MSRB rules? A. A state highway department issuing revenue bonds. B. A county school district issuing general obligation bonds. C. A private nonprofit hospital issuing conduit bonds on behalf of a municipality. D. A public university raising funds through a bond offering. Answer. C. A private nonprofit hospital issuing conduit bonds on behalf of a municipality. Under MSRB rules, a municipal entity generally refers to a state, political subdivision of a state, or any agency or instrumentality of a state or political subdivision, including municipal utility districts, school districts, and public universities. While a private nonprofit hospital might be the ultimate beneficiary of a conduit bond issuance, the actual municipal entity that issues the bonds, e.g., a city or county development authority, is the MSRB's client for municipal advisor purposes. The hospital itself is not considered the municipal entity client, even though it benefits from the financing. This distinction is crucial for identifying who the municipal advisor's fiduciary duty is owed to in a conduit financing. Question 6. A municipal advisor provides advice to a municipal entity regarding the issuance of taxable municipal bonds. Which regulatory body has primary oversight over the MA's conduct related to this transaction? A. The Internal Revenue Service, IRS. B. The Government Finance Officers Association, GFOA. C. The Municipal Securities Rulemaking Board, MSRB. D. The Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, only for the issuance of the bonds. Answer. C. The Municipal Securities Rulemaking Board, MSRB. The Municipal Securities Rulemaking Board, MSRB, is the primary self-regulatory organization that regulates the municipal securities market, including the conduct of municipal advisors. While the SEC oversees all securities markets, and the IRS is concerned with tax-exempt status, the MSRB specifically writes rules for municipal advisors, regardless of whether the municipal bonds are tax-exempt or taxable. For example, MSRB Rule G-42, which outlines the duties of municipal advisors, applies equally to advice on both taxable and tax-exempt municipal bonds. The MSRB's broad oversight ensures consistent standards of conduct for municipal market participants. Question 7. According to MSRB Rule G-37, which of the following actions is prohibited for a municipal advisor firm? A. Making a political contribution to a municipal official in a state where the firm is seeking to do business, provided it is less than $250. B. Engaging in municipal advisory business with an issuer within 2 years after a municipal advisor professional makes a political contribution of $300 to an official of that issuer. C. Providing pro bono municipal advisory services to a municipal entity to establish a new client relationship. D. Participating in an educational seminar for municipal officials, offering general information about market trends. Answer. B. Engaging in municipal advisory business with an issuer within 2 years after a municipal advisor professional makes a political contribution of $300 to an official of that issuer. MSRB Rule G-37, known as the pay-to-play rule, aims to prevent municipal securities business from being awarded based on political contributions. It generally prohibits a municipal advisor firm from engaging in municipal advisory business with an issuer for 2 years after a municipal advisor professional makes a political contribution to an official of that issuer that exceeds $250 per election. In this scenario, a $300 contribution triggers the 2-year ban, as it exceeds the de minimis threshold. This rule helps ensure that municipal advisory business is awarded on merit, not political influence. Question 8. A municipal advisor has been engaged by a city to advise on a new bond issue. During the engagement, the MA discovers a material, undisclosed liability of the city that could significantly impact the creditworthiness of the bonds. What is the MA's most appropriate course of action? A. Disclose the liability immediately to potential investors, as it is a material fact. B. Advise the city to disclose the liability and offer assistance in preparing the necessary disclosure. C. Remain silent, as disclosing confidential client information would violate the MA's duty of confidentiality. D. Inform the bond counsel of the liability and let them determine the appropriate action. Answer. B. Advise the city to disclose the liability and offer assistance in preparing the necessary disclosure. A municipal advisor's fiduciary duty under MSRB Rule G-42 includes a duty to provide advice that is in the best interest of the municipal client, which encompasses ensuring adequate disclosure. If an MA discovers a material undisclosed liability, their primary role is to advise the client, the city, on the importance of disclosing this information to investors. The MA should not directly disclose client information to third parties, as this would violate confidentiality. Instead, they should guide the client to fulfill their disclosure obligations. For example, the MA might help the city understand the implications of non-disclosure and assist in drafting appropriate language for the official statement. Question 9. An individual is a municipal advisor representative and also holds a Series 7 license. While advising a municipal entity on a bond issuance, the individual recommends a specific bond issue to a retail investor without compensation. Which of the following is true regarding this individual's actions? A. The individual is acting as a municipal advisor to the retail investor, owing them a fiduciary duty. B. The individual is acting as a broker-dealer to the retail investor and must comply with FINRA suitability rules. C. The individual is not acting in any regulated capacity towards the retail investor since no compensation was received. D. The individual is violating MSRB rules by simultaneously holding a Series 7 and Series 50. Answer. B. The individual is acting as a broker-dealer to the retail investor and must comply with FINRA suitability rules. When an individual recommends a specific security to a retail investor, even without compensation, they are typically acting in a broker-dealer capacity. Holding a Series 7 license qualifies them for such activities, and FINRA suitability rules, e.g., Rule 2111, would apply, requiring the recommendation to be suitable for that investor. A municipal advisor's fiduciary duty is owed to municipal entity clients, not individual investors. For instance, if this person suggests a particular bond to their neighbor, they are making a broker-dealer recommendation, necessitating adherence to suitability standards. Always distinguish between an MA's duty to an issuer and a broker-dealer's duty to an investor. Question 10. A municipal advisor provides advice to a municipal entity in connection with the issuance of municipal securities. Which of the following factors is least relevant in determining whether the MA has provided advice under MSRB Rule G-42? A. Whether the municipal entity relies on the MA's recommendations. B. Whether the MA is compensated for the services provided. C. Whether the MA is explicitly referred to as an advisor in the engagement letter. D. Whether the MA makes recommendations or provides opinions regarding the issuance. Answer. B. Whether the MA is compensated for the services provided. The MSRB defines municipal advisory activities broadly and whether compensation is received is generally not a primary determinant of whether advice has been provided. MSRB Rule G-42 focuses on the substance of the relationship and whether recommendations or opinions regarding municipal financial products or the issuance of municipal securities are being offered, and whether the municipal entity relies on such advice. For example, an MA might provide initial pro bono advice to build a relationship, and this would still constitute advisory activity subject to MSRB rules even without immediate payment. The core concept is the provision of recommendations or opinions, not the receipt of compensation. Question 11. A municipal advisor firm discovers that an employee, who is a municipal advisor representative, has failed to disclose a material conflict of interest related to a current engagement, as required by MSRB Rule G-42. What is the firm's immediate supervisory obligation? A. Terminate the employee's employment immediately to mitigate the risk. B. Report the employee to the SEC and MSRB without delay. C. Establish, maintain, and enforce written supervisory procedures reasonably designed to achieve compliance with all MSRB rules. D. Remediate the conflict, disclose it to the client, and review supervisory procedures to prevent recurrence. Answer: D. Remediate the conflict, disclose it to the client, and review supervisory procedures to prevent recurrence. When a municipal advisor firm discovers a failure to disclose a material conflict of interest by an employee, its immediate obligation under MSRB Rule G-42 and G-27, supervision, is to take corrective action. This includes taking reasonable steps to eliminate or mitigate the conflict, promptly disclosing the conflict to the municipal client, and reviewing its supervisory procedures to ensure such failures do not happen again. For example, if an MA owns stock in a company bidding on a project for their client, the firm would need to address that holding, disclose it, and ensure future conflicts are properly identified. This active management demonstrates compliance with supervisory responsibilities. Question 12. A municipal entity issues general obligation bonds. What is the primary source of repayment for these bonds? A. Revenues from a specific project or facility. B. Lease payments from the state government. C. The full faith and credit of the issuing municipality, supported by its taxing power. D. Special assessments levied on specific properties benefiting from the project. Answer: C. The full faith and credit of the issuing municipality, supported by its taxing power. General obligation, GO, bonds are debt instruments issued by states, counties, or cities that are repaid by the full faith and credit of the issuing governmental unit. This means the issuer pledges its entire taxing power, including property taxes, sales taxes, or other general revenues, to repay the debt. For instance, a GO bond issued by a city for a new library would be repaid from the city's general tax receipts. This broad pledge makes GO bonds generally considered very safe, as their repayment is not tied to the success of a specific project, unlike revenue bonds. Question 13. Which of the following is not a required disclosure in the official statement, OS, for a new municipal bond issue? A. Information about the issuer's financial condition. B. A description of the municipal securities being offered. C. The names and contact information of all individual retail investors who purchased the bonds. D. Any material events affecting the issuer's creditworthiness. Answer: C. The names and contact information of all individual retail investors who purchased the bonds. The official statement, OS, is a key disclosure document in a municipal bond offering, providing potential investors with material information about the bonds and the issuer. While it must include details about the issuer's financial condition, a description of the securities, and material events, it does not disclose the identities or contact information of individual investors. For example, an OS for a school district bond issue would detail the district's tax base and outstanding debt, but it would never list who bought the bonds. The purpose of the OS is to provide broad market disclosure, not individual investor identification. Question 14. Under MSRB Rule G-42, on fair dealing, a municipal advisor firm is performing a financial advisory engagement for an issuer. The firm determines it has the necessary expertise and resources. What is the firm's obligation if, after accepting the engagement, it develops a previously unforeseen conflict of interest? A. The firm must immediately terminate the engagement, as conflicts are strictly prohibited. B. The firm must continue the engagement but inform the municipal entity of the conflict at the next scheduled meeting. C. The firm must disclose the conflict to the municipal entity in writing and take steps to mitigate or eliminate it. D. The firm must request a waiver from the MSRB to proceed with the engagement despite the conflict. Answer: C. The firm must disclose the conflict to the municipal entity in writing and take steps to mitigate or eliminate it. MSRB Rule G-42 on fair dealing, along with G-42 on duties of municipal advisors, requires a municipal advisor to disclose any material conflicts of interest to its municipal entity client in writing. This applies whether the conflict exists at the outset or arises during the engagement. The MA must also take reasonable steps to eliminate or mitigate the conflict, such as structuring the deal to avoid the conflict or declining a portion of the business. For instance, if an MA's principal acquires a significant financial interest in a company bidding on a project related to their client's bond issue, they must promptly disclose this and address how it will be managed. Question 15. A municipal advisor representative is asked by an issuer client to provide a fairness opinion on a complex bond restructuring plan. The MA representative is highly skilled in general municipal finance but has limited experience with this specific type of restructuring. What is the MA's most appropriate action? A. Decline the request, as the MA lacks the specific expertise. B. Provide the opinion, ensuring it is clearly labeled as preliminary. C. Disclose the limited experience to the client and either decline, seek additional expertise, or recommend another qualified MA. D. Proceed with the opinion, as it is a common request and within the general scope of municipal advisory. Answer: C. Disclose the limited experience to the client and either decline, seek additional expertise, or recommend another qualified MA. MSRB Rule G-42, relating to the duties of municipal advisors, requires that an MA must act in the best interests of its client, which implies possessing or obtaining the necessary expertise. If an MA lacks specific expertise for a particular task, they must disclose this limitation to the client. The MA then has options: decline the engagement, obtain additional necessary expertise, or recommend that the client seek advice from another qualified municipal advisor. For example, an MA who specializes in general obligation bonds should inform a client if they are asked to advise on a highly specialized variable rate demand obligation without sufficient knowledge of that product. Question 16. What is the primary purpose of the Electronic Municipal Market Access (EMA) system? A. To serve as a trading platform for municipal bonds. B. To facilitate direct communication between municipal advisors and issuers. C. To provide a centralized, online source for municipal securities data and disclosure documents. D. To register municipal advisors and their associated persons with the MSRB. Answer: C. To provide a centralized, online source for municipal securities data and disclosure documents. The Electronic Municipal Market Access (EMA) system is the MSRB's official source for municipal securities data and disclosure documents. Its primary purpose is to provide transparency to the municipal market by making official statements, continuing disclosures, and trade data widely available to the public free of charge. For instance, an investor can use EMA to find the official statement for a bond issue they are considering, or to view the latest financial reports filed by an issuer. EMA enhances market efficiency and investor protection through accessible information. Question 17. A municipal advisor firm has entered into a written agreement to provide ongoing advice to a municipal entity. The municipal entity subsequently issues bonds through an underwriting syndicate where a broker-dealer affiliated with the MA firm is a member. What must the MA firm disclose to the municipal entity regarding this affiliation? A. Nothing, as long as the MA firm did not participate in the underwriting process. B. The existence of the affiliate and its role as an underwriter in the transaction. C. Only the amount of compensation the affiliated broker-dealer received from the underwriting. D. The municipal entity must seek separate, independent advice regarding the underwriting syndicate. Answer: B. The existence of the affiliate and its role as an underwriter in the transaction. MSRB Rule G-42 requires a municipal advisor to disclose all material conflicts of interest, including affiliations with broker-dealers that participate in the same transaction. The MA firm must disclose the existence of its affiliate and its role as an underwriter, even if the MA firm itself did not directly participate in the underwriting. For example, if a municipal advisor's parent company is an underwriter on an issuer's bond deal, the MA must inform the issuer of this relationship so the issuer can evaluate potential conflicts. This ensures transparency and helps the client understand any potential biases. Question 18. Which of the following best describes the prudent person standard of care applicable to municipal advisors under MSRB Rule G-42? A. Acting with the same care, skill, prudence, and diligence that a person acting in a like capacity and familiar with such matters would use. B. Guaranteeing the most favorable outcome for the municipal entity, regardless of market conditions. C. Minimizing fees and expenses for the municipal entity at all costs. D. Adhering strictly to the advice of the municipal entity's legal counsel. Answer: A. Acting with the same care, skill, prudence, and diligence that a person acting in a like capacity and familiar with such matters would use. MSRB Rule G-42 establishes a prudent person standard of care for municipal advisors. This means that an MA must exercise the care, skill, prudence, and diligence that a professional acting in a similar capacity, and familiar with such matters, would use in the conduct of an enterprise of a like character and with like aims. For instance, when structuring a bond issue, an MA is expected to apply the same level of professional rigor and analysis as other competent municipal advisors. This standard emphasizes professional competence and acting responsibly, rather than guaranteeing outcomes or blindly following other professionals. Question 19. A municipal advisor is assisting an issuer with the refunding of outstanding bonds. The MA discovers a specific covenant in the original bond indenture that complicates the proposed refunding structure. What is the MA's responsibility regarding this covenant? A. The MA should advise the issuer to ignore the covenant if it prevents the most cost-effective refunding. B. The MA should highlight the covenant to the issuer and explain its implications for the refunding plan. C. The MA should inform the original bond trustee to waive the covenant's requirements. D. The MA's role is limited to financial modeling, and legal covenants are the responsibility of bond counsel. Answer: B. The MA should highlight the covenant to the issuer and explain its implications for the refunding plan. A municipal advisor has a fiduciary duty to provide comprehensive and informed advice to its municipal entity client, which includes understanding and addressing relevant legal documents. If the MA identifies a covenant in an existing bond indenture that impacts a proposed refunding, they must bring this to the issuer's attention and explain its implications. For example, if a prior bond issue has a non-call provision preventing early redemption, the MA must inform the issuer that a refunding might not be possible until the call date. While bond counsel interprets legal documents, the MA's role is to advise the client on the financial implications of such provisions. Question 20. A municipal advisor firm provides written disclosures to a municipal entity client, which include the firm's capacity, material conflicts of interest, and any legal or disciplinary events. These disclosures are typically provided: A. Only upon the client's explicit request. B. Annually, irrespective of engagement status. C. At or prior to the engagement, and updated promptly if material changes occur. D. Only if the municipal entity is a new client. Answer, C, at or prior to the engagement, and updated promptly if material changes occur. MSRB Rule G-42 requires municipal advisors to provide specific written disclosures to their municipal entity clients at or prior to the commencement of the advisory relationship. These disclosures cover critical information such as the MA's capacity, e.g., whether it acts as principal or agent, any material conflicts of interest, and significant legal or disciplinary events. Furthermore, these disclosures must be updated promptly if any material changes occur during the engagement. For instance, if an MA acquires a new financial interest that creates a conflict, that must be disclosed to the client without delay. This ensures clients receive timely and crucial information. Question 21. Which of the following scenarios would most likely subject an individual to municipal advisor registration requirements? A. An accountant providing general auditing services to a municipal utility district. B. A lawyer providing legal advice to a city council regarding bond covenants. C. A financial professional offering recommendations to a school board on the timing and structure of a bond issue. D. A commercial bank providing a loan to a municipal entity without any advisory services. Answer, C. A financial professional offering recommendations to a school board on the timing and structure of a bond issue. An individual is generally required to register as a municipal advisor if they provide municipal advisory activities, which include offering recommendations or advice to a municipal entity regarding municipal financial products or the issuance of municipal securities. Providing advice on the timing and structure of a bond issue directly falls under this definition. While lawyers and accountants provide professional services to municipalities, their activities are generally excluded unless they cross the line into providing financial advisory recommendations. For example, suggesting specific bond types or optimal issuance dates would necessitate MA registration. Question 22. A municipal advisor has an ongoing relationship with a municipal entity. The MA learns that the municipal entity plans to issue bonds and engage a specific broker-dealer as underwriter, with whom the MA has a business relationship unrelated to the advisory engagement. What is the MA's obligation under MSRB rules? A. The MA must terminate the advisory relationship to avoid any perceived conflict. B. The MA must inform the municipal entity of its business relationship with the underwriter and the nature of that relationship. C. The MA must provide a written disclaimer to the municipal entity stating that the MA's advice is independent of the underwriter's interests. D. No disclosure is required as the business relationship is unrelated to the specific advisory engagement. Answer, B. The MA must inform the municipal entity of its business relationship with the underwriter and the nature of that relationship. MSRB Rule G-42 requires a municipal advisor to disclose any material conflicts of interest, including existing business relationships with other transaction participants, such as underwriters. Even if the relationship is unrelated to the current advisory engagement, it must be disclosed if it could reasonably be perceived as influencing the MA's advice. For instance, if the MA's firm also provides commercial banking services to the underwriter, the MA must disclose this to the issuer so the issuer can assess potential biases. This ensures transparency and helps the client make informed decisions. Question 23. What is the standard of care for a municipal advisor when making a recommendation of a municipal financial product to a municipal entity, as outlined by MSRB Rule G-42? A. The recommendation must be suitable for the municipal entity, based on the MA's reasonable inquiry regarding the entity's needs and circumstances. B. The recommendation must guarantee the lowest cost of borrowing for the municipal entity. C. The recommendation must be approved by the municipal entity's governing body prior to formal presentation. D. The recommendation must be one that the MA would make for its own investments if it were in a similar financial situation. Answer, A. The recommendation must be suitable for the municipal entity, based on the MA's reasonable inquiry regarding the entity's needs and circumstances. MSRB Rule G-42 requires municipal advisors to have a reasonable basis to believe that a recommendation is suitable for the municipal entity client. This involves the MA undertaking a reasonable inquiry into the client's financial situation, needs, and objectives. For example, if an MA recommends a complex derivative product, they must ensure the municipality understands the risks and that the product aligns with the municipality's financial capacity and risk tolerance. This suitability obligation ensures that advice provided is tailored and appropriate for the client. Question 24. A municipal advisor, MA, is hired by a city to evaluate its existing debt portfolio and recommend strategies for managing interest rate risk. This is considered an example of what type of municipal advisory activity? A. Underwriting of municipal securities. B. Primary market issuance advice. C. Ongoing advisory services. D. Secondary market trading of municipal securities. Answer: C. Ongoing advisory services. Evaluating an existing debt portfolio and recommending strategies for managing interest rate risk falls under the umbrella of ongoing advisory services provided by a municipal advisor. Unlike advice specific to a new bond issuance, primary market advice, or actual trading, secondary market activity, this involves continuous financial management and strategic guidance for the client's existing financial obligations. For example, an MA might advise a city on whether to convert variable rate debt to fixed rate debt to mitigate interest rate fluctuations. This type of engagement emphasizes continuous, specialized financial guidance. Question 25. Which of the following is considered a regulated person subject to MSRB rules for municipal advisors? A. A person whose activities consist solely of providing clerical or ministerial support to a municipal advisor. B. An independent lawyer providing legal services to a municipal entity on bond validation. C. An employee of a bank that serves as a paying agent for municipal bonds. D. A person who solicits municipal entities on behalf of a municipal advisor, even if they do not directly provide advice. Answer: D. A person who solicits municipal entities on behalf of a municipal advisor, even if they do not directly provide advice. Under MSRB rules, a municipal advisor professional, or regulated person, includes any natural person who engages in municipal advisory activities on behalf of a municipal advisor, including those who solicit municipal entities for municipal advisory business. Even if an individual's role is solely to solicit and not to provide direct advice, they are still subject to MSRB registration and conduct rules, e.g., Series 50 Exam and G-37. For instance, a marketing professional who reaches out to municipalities to secure advisory contracts for their firm would be considered a regulated person. This broad definition ensures comprehensive oversight of individuals involved in securing municipal advisory business.